morning and welcome to my kitchen. December is here, Christmas time is upon us. Now we thought we would do a series this month. So in December we're going to do 3 episodes, everything but the turkey. All right, the turkey is the easy bit. Everyone bangs on about the turkey. You can find out how to cook a turkey. Personally, I wouldn't cook a turkey, but there you go, that's a different story. But I thought I'd share with you everything but the turkey. So we're going to do a couple of cocktails today, some nibbles. I'm going to show you a beautiful starter. Then on the next episode, we'll move on to the main course. And then on the final episode, we're going to do some desserts, and I'm going to show you how to make the most amazing mince pies, okay? But first of all, let's get started. Cocktails. We'll do 1 cocktail and 1 mocktail. So we're going to make a nice mulled berry punch, okay? No wine in this one, teetotal this one. So I have got some frozen berries. You're a mulled wine lover, aren't you, Emily?
I am. I'm looking forward to this.
You like the wine in it though, don't you?
I do, yeah, but I did.
You like the flavours of mulled?
Yeah.
So I've got 500 grams of frozen mixed berries here. So in here we've got strawberries, blackberries, black currants, red currants, raspberries. I think that's about it. Okay, so straight into a pan, and we're going to make like a cordial. Okay, so when you're making a cordial, it's important that you don't stir the life out of this, because otherwise you end up with a very cloudy mixture. All right. So the idea is to make a compote. And when we make fruit compotes, we don't generally stir them. So I'm going to go in with some granulated sugar as well, because we only want it for sweetness. So I'm going to use the white sugar. Okay.
Can it be caster sugar if you don't have?
Yeah, caster sugar if you want. You'd be wasting your money, but yeah. Caster sugar, absolutely fine. It is just for sweetness, okay? So let's look at the spices now, okay? So, mulled spices, we have nutmeg, star anise, cloves, and cinnamon, all right? Now, if you don't particularly like one of these, don't put it in. It's really about sort of making it the way you want it, really. So, cinnamon, I like to go cinnamon sticks. I think ground cinnamon it's full on, isn't it? It's punchy. Whereas you get an aroma from these, and they just sort of sit nicely and give that rounded spice flavour. Now, the same with the cloves. So I've got about half a teaspoon of cloves there, maybe, what's that, 6 or 7. Again, if you really like them. Oh, it smells of Christmas.
Yeah.
That is just like your Christmas hit, all right? And then star anise. Some people like star anise, some people don't. I absolutely love star anise. I think it's got such a lovely flavour, and it really does play as part of a team of flavours, all right? And then nutmeg, always buy the whole nutmegs, all right? Always, don't buy ground. It's like chucking sand in your food, all right? And then just zest it straight in. I'm going to do about half the nutmeg. Oh, smell that. Oh, good catch, Emily. Well done.
Oh.
Not bad for a girl, that.
Oh, you're going to get some comments from that.
Oh, no.
Oh, just smell that.
It's Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah.
You could get your hit in July from those, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I've got a clementine. I'm just going to put it in. I'm not going to do anything. It's really, really important. You just cut into this, Emily.
Yeah.
That we don't stir this. We don't mess about with it. We just let it all melt together. Okay? That's it. That, to me, is a beautiful Christmas scene, that, full stop. And we're just going to let it bubble away and create this nice fruity syrup, which will become our cordial, and then we'll make a lovely punch. So if you've got guests coming on Christmas Day that are driving home, they're always the best ones, by the way, the ones that drive home, you can just make a really lovely warm punch. Doesn't have to have wine in it, but you can obviously make mulled wine as well, the same. So let's let that cook away. Now, for the people who like a drink, all right, we're going to make a lemon meringue martini type drink, isn't it? We've sort of played around with this. Carlos, who isn't here today, also contributed towards this one. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch these over. So let that cordial go. So it's important that we make a meringue first. Now, this is going to be a Swiss meringue. You get 3 different types. You get the traditional French meringue, which is egg whites and pouring sugar in slowly. You get Swiss meringue, which is this one where you cook it over a bain-marie. And then you get Italian meringue, which is where you pour boiling sugar syrup into egg whites as they're beating. So we're going Swiss. The reason why we're going Swiss is we want it to be cooked so that it's safe to eat just whisked up, okay? So let me get my new favourite toy, which is my wireless, cordless mixer. And we'll start to whisk eggs and sugar over boiling water. So the idea is that you whisk the sugar, a straightforward meringue recipe, and you whisk over hot water, and that will cook the egg whites as it's all whisked up, which makes it beautifully safe. So it's a really good one to have. So you could do like toasted meringue hot chocolates. Go on, Emily, sorry.
So this is like if people weren't necessarily sure on making, like if they're too scared to pour the boiling sugar, it's kind of...
Yeah, well, Italian meringue is beautiful and it's rich and it's velvety and it's my personal favourite, to be honest. But it's a bit of a task to make because you've got to boil sugar and water to 110 degrees and then slowly pour it in to your egg whites, whereas with this, whack it in and whisk it up. I think the Swiss have got it right. You could do it by hand as well if you wanted to. It takes blooming ages, but you can do it. So, as the water's boiling, it's cooking out the egg whites as it's beating all that sugar in and making that beautiful meringue. So for me, that is done. So that is stage 1 of our lemon meringues, okay? So let's just crack on. Now, got my cocktail shaker. I think you're gonna like this. Okay, so we're gonna start with lemon curd, because lemon meringue pie needs lemon curd. Okay, so a good lemon curd, all right? Some people call it a lemon cheese as well.
Which... see that in the shops.
Yeah.
Lemon curd and there was lemon cheese.
Yeah, I think they're the same thing. Right, limoncello. So this is an Italian liqueur. It's pretty much, it's vodka with lemon zest and sugar in. It's beautiful. Sorrento, the Amalfi Coast. Shut your eyes, take yourself back to it. Okay, so we're going to go with that. Now, if you want the recipes, scan the QR code on the bottom or go to masterclass.co and you will find all our recipes, because this is episode 52. This is technically our birthday. In with some vodka, or you can double up your limoncello. It's up to you. And then we're going to do some fresh lemon zest in there. Sorry, not zest, juice. We're not going to put the zest in. Okay, so the juice of a lemon. So it's going to be really nice and it's going to be good. It is, but what you've got to think about is you're going to have this with sweet meringue. And it's got lemon curd in, which is sweet as well. So that's why we're going straight in with lemon juice. Now, if you wanted, you could mix it up and add a bit of orange in there as well, or clementine.
I was just about to say, could you make like an orange version?
You could make a clementine meringue pie cocktail. Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get some ice. Okay. I'll warn you now, me and Poppy have a bit of an obsession with very large ice cubes in our house. So look at the size of those bad boys. All right, but you don't have to use those. We've got other ones as well.
Like icebergs.
I know, they're lovely, because you just need one in a drink, but I'm going to put 2 in because it's about chilling it down. It's not about like putting massive ice in a drink, all right? So, get my mixology going on now, all right? So, on with the lid. Now, if you haven't got a cocktail shaker, get one, they're great fun. Just make sure that you've got something with a lid on, you know, a container, something that you can just give it a real good shake, all right? So, because you want the lemon curd to dispense through, you see, and create almost a slightly thicker texture.
Yeah.
All right? Do you know what I'm thinking? You could do this with Nutella and Baileys with meringue.
Ooh.
How good does that sound?
Christmas party sorted.
Yeah. So, and I do think you need to serve this with a little biscuit to make it like meringue, don't you? Meringue pie. So there we go. Yeah. It's all now one texture and it's chilled, okay? So we've got 2 nice glasses here and then I have a piping bag. This is gonna wow. This is gonna raise the bar for your guests for Christmas. So when they invite you back next year, they'll be like, oh, do you remember that lemon meringue drink we had? Got to make it as good as that. So we've got our meringue just going straight into a piping bag. You don't have to, it's just a little bit easier, it's cleaner. And you can get it all made and ready. And because we've made the Swiss meringue, it's stable. So you can get this made in the morning, well before anybody else is up and about, okay? So, looking forward to this, aren't you, Emily?
Yeah.
All right, so let's... Where would you like me to do this then? Here?
Exactly there.
Exactly there. Back one first?
Yeah.
All right. Look at that.
Oh. I'm so excited.
There's one. Do you know what it looks like? Do you remember that banana flavoured medicine you used to have as a kid?
God, yeah. It does actually. Don't knock people off.
Yeah, no.
Definitely.
Believe me, it won't taste like that. This is going to be really, really good. And it's lovely and chilled. There we go. And then with our meringue, when you pipe the meringue, hit the glass first. Don't go in the centre because it'll just wobble around and move about. Which one do you want me to pipe first? Front or back?
Any.
Any. So, hit the glass first, all right?
It's a very steady hand, Pete.
Oh, no. There's our little iceberg.
Concentration.
No, I can't talk. Shush. It's not like me, is it?
No.
There we go. And then to finish, you know the flat fire's coming out, don't you? So Masterclass do an amazing blowtorch. I love this one. Chefs like big, powerful blowtorches in their kitchens, all right? This one does the job, but at home. There are very few blowtorches in the kitchens that are good, or a chef would say they're good. But this one really does work, all right? So really gently.
It's like you're putting in a glass, like, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
Oh, look at that.
There we go. So there are our lemon meringue cocktails. What an amazing way to start Christmas Day. Those are our alcoholic cocktails. Our lemon meringue pie. Would you call it a martini, Emily, or not? It's kind of a martini, isn't it? Yeah. It does look like a pudding. Okay, so if I cut back, can you cut back to this fruit, Emily? I can. All right. What I'm not doing is stirring it at all with a spoon. I don't want to break the fruit, okay? It's really important. Can you see there, Emily?
Yeah.
All the fruit is structurally intact. And all it's doing is just marrying together. Now, so if I was making this at home, I would actually leave this overnight because I think the spices sat in the fruit would just intensify and become even more delicious, okay? But for the sake of making a program, taking you on a journey today, I'm gonna show you what to do now. So imagine we've left it overnight. Okay, so let's grab a bowl and a sieve, all right? So, Smart Space, these ones, love this set. So, I've got my jug sieve straight in there. All I'm going to do is very gently pour that in without touching it, all right? I do not want to break that fruit up because otherwise we're going to end up with a really cloudy cordial, and we don't want that, okay? So, got a preserving bottle here. What I can do is lift this fruit out, and can you see, which camera are we on, Emily? Are we above?
Yes.
So can you see all the fruit and the spices and things like that are sat there? They've kind of done their job, but please don't waste them. blend them up to make a really beautiful fruit coulis sauce that you can swirl through ice cream, add it to some apples and make a lovely mulled fruit and apple crumble would be really nice. Don't throw them away, it's just too good at stuff to do that. Okay, so let me just pop that over to one side. And now we've got our cordial, okay? So once you've made this, it's made. I'm just going to carefully pour it into this bottle and we're going to keep it in the fridge. But it's taken on that really lovely colour. These bottles are perfect for preserving things like this. We actually make our own blackcurrant in the summer. We grow blackcurrants, and for some reason, we make blackcurrant cordial. We make Ribena. The kids love it, even though we can buy it all the time. But there you go. It's quite nice to make your own, isn't it? So there we go. We have our mulled red berry cordial now. So let's get some glasses and let's make a really nice mulled Christmas punch, okay? So first of all, we're going to get our clementine and we're going to put half in each, okay? And that's going to give us that nice sort of citrusy flavour. Now I've just cut the tops off, but I'm going to squeeze. I'm not going to waste anything, all right? Because that's all flavour. And we don't waste flavour, do we, Emily?
Nope.
We like flavour. Okay, so we're going to put a cinnamon stick in there. All right, and then I think we'll go with, and this is just reinforcing the spice flavour. So 2 cloves. You could do, if you had a slow cooker, you could batch this and make a big batch of it and then just have it ready there, bubbling away all day for Christmas, which would be nice, wouldn't it? And then I'm going to have a star anise, but star anise is quite strong, okay? So I'm just going to break 2 pieces off, pop those in, and the same with that one, otherwise it will be really strong, okay? Now, on with our cordial. Now, if you're going to make it with glasses, make sure they're glasses that can take heat, or put spoons in like this, okay? And then it will just conduct the heat, you see. So in with our cordial there. So you can knowingly, on a work night, have a mulled wine experience in December, conscience clear, all right? And you can keep going into January if you want to. My wife absolutely loves mulled wine, but tries not to have a drink during the week. She saves it for the weekend, but now she can have this.
It's a nice winter drink as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm going to pour the boiling water. I've let it boil and then I've let it sit for a couple of minutes, all right? So don't pour straight boiling water straight in, okay? And then when you do put hot water into a glass, pour it onto the spoon. Let the spoon conduct the heat, all right? That is the trick. There's one.
So aesthetically pleasing. It looks beautiful, that. It's a really nice vivid colour, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, there we go. So give that just a little stir. And the same with that one. I'm going to leave the spoons in because it takes the heat. So there you go. They are my Christmas drinks. We've got a beautiful lemon meringue pie martini. I know, it sounds good, doesn't it? And then we've got our mulled fruit punch. So you've got both options. What better way to kick off that special day when all the family are starting to come round than turning up with these bad boys? Right. So I've shown you how to make 2 amazing drinks to start off your day. Now, with drinks, you need a nibble, okay? Now, we're going to show you how to make the most delicious, indulgent roasted walnuts. Emily's very excited about this because of this. This is truffle oil. It's her favourite ingredient. I think she'd drink it if I'd let her. So we're going to take some really lovely California walnuts straight into a pan, okay? Onto a medium heat. Now, walnuts are delicious, but they're even more delicious when you roast them. So, tablespoon of oil. Give them a good shake so that all the nuts get just a little coating on there. So they just start to glisten, all right? And then we're going to start to flavour it. Now, we don't put the truffle oil on till the end. But what we've got is some rosemary. So I'm just going to strip the leaves straight off the rosemary. These probably were the only things that are left growing in the garden. All right, rosemary and thyme. And we want to hear them crackle, okay? That's when we know the flavour is starting to come through and out of the plant and into the pan. Okay, can you hear that? Can you just cut into that, Emily?
Yeah.
You can see, and if I put my microphone down there,
You can just hear it.
you can hear the rosemary and the thyme crackling. And they're the essential oils just kind of hitting the heat, and they're giving out flavour, all right? They're giving you all the flavour they've got, right? So all you need to do really is just toast them on a medium heat. Keep them moving because you don't want the nuts to sit on the bottom in direct contact with the pan for long, because otherwise they will scorch and they will burn, they will go bitter, and they're really not tasty when they're bitter. What we're trying to do is make the walnut nuttier, all right? And the way that we do that is to toast them. Now, you could also do this in the oven if you wanted to, probably on a tray, 10 minutes, 160, 170 degrees, 350 degrees Fahrenheit. You know who I'm talking to. You know you've been asking for Fahrenheit. Gas mark 4. That'll do. Gas mark 4. Gas mark 4. Right, so keep them rolling, keep them moving around,
You can see
yeah?
them, but like ever so slightly changed colour.
Yeah, they're just starting to go there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take them off the heat, all right? We'll pop them on there. Can we see them all right there, Emily?
You can.
Yeah, right.
This is the best part.
Time for the truffle oil. Truffle oil is amazing. It really does. It's like an olive oil, and they infuse it with truffle, and it just captures the flavour. It's really heady. It's really pungent and garlicky, and
Oh, it's just.
it's
wonderful.
just, yeah, it's delicious.
It's a jar of wonderfulness.
Yeah, so a tablespoon max. You do not want any more than that on there.
I beg to
All right,
differ.
I promise. It's amazing in mashed potato. It's beautiful on chips, like potato fries, chips, whatever you want to call them. It is good.
How could you get so excited about
Oh. And then we're going to season up with some sea salt, all right? And then a little bit of black pepper. Okay. And then we're going to pop them into a bowl. That'll stop the cooking process. Now, just for a little bit more indulgence, what works well with truffle is parmesan. Parmesan and walnuts work. Parmesan, walnuts, truffle, rosemary, thyme, all best friends, just work really, really well. So when they've cooled down a little, don't do them really hot because otherwise the parmesan will melt. Then you grate the parmesan on. And if you're like me, you make sure the cheese is like that so that you can do that. Okay. And then give them a shake.
I am so excited for these.
Oh, yeah. You've got to photograph them first.
This is
So, that is just such a simple, delicious nibble to go with those yummy drinks. So, I have got a really lovely short crust pastry here. Very basic, nothing flash. It is nothing more than 2 parts flour to 1 part butter. Rub it into breadcrumbs or a crumble mixture, and then add cold water until it forms a soft dough. Pop it in the fridge, and that's it. And then you're up to speed, okay? Pastry is super easy if you just follow the principles of cold ingredients, rest it in between stages, and just don't overwork it, okay? So I've divided it into 4 portions. I haven't even put any flour on because it's rested and it's firmed back up, okay? And that's it. That's all I'm going to do. Now, at Masterclass, I've got this really good little tartlet tray here. does 4 at once, and it's got a loose bottom, which makes life so much easier when you're doing these things. Now, the recipe that I'm going to show you is actually for a lobster tart. Sounds very indulgent, very luxurious, but actually, you can get lobster in the supermarkets in the UK at the moment. It's in the freezer section, all right? So they're usually Canadian lobsters. They're delicious. They're already cooked because they're bright pink, and they work perfectly for this recipe. It's Christmas Day, all right? If there's a day in the year where you can just splash out a little bit, it's Christmas, all right? So if you can't get lobster or you don't want lobster, you could use crab meat, you could use prawns, you could use smoked salmon or cooked salmon. It's entirely up to you, okay? So pop it in and then just use your thumbs and just press it into the corners. Try not to stretch the pastry too much, okay? And then just let it sit over the sides because we're going to score it in a minute. All right, nice and easy, all right? How'd you get on with pastry, all right?
Yeah.
With your cold hands?
Yeah.
You should be brilliant at pastry.
I like, there's something quite satisfying about making your own pastry, I think.
You could flavour your pastry as well if you wanted to. You could put some spices or herbs into it, but really for me, it's about getting a really lovely, crisp, buttery pastry, and then the flavour is going in the middle. It's going to be really delicious. Can't wait to show you.
I think it's the resting time, like...
Resting between stages. If you've done something to your pastry, rest it afterwards. So if you've made it, rest it. If you've rolled it, rest it. If you've cut it, rest it. All right? And if you haven't got the time to rest, pop it in the freezer half the time. It just allows everything just to go, because you're rolling it out and stretching it, and the pastry just wants to do that. So if you just leave it, let it retract a little bit, and cool and rest, and then it will do as it's told. Okay? Right. So if you've any questions as well, please do post them in the comments below. I've had loads of great messages recently. The channel is growing fabulously, so it has been amazing. I went out last Sunday. I went out with the dogs and the boy and Kerry, and we cooked the most delicious you weren't with there. We made a breakfast risotto, cum porridge. So it had risotto rice and porridge in there, but it had bacon, smoked streaky bacon. We had dried mushrooms. We had sun-dried tomatoes in there, a little bit of parmesan. It actually started snowing as we were cooking. Kerry arranged that for us. But it was really, really good. And we also had the most delicious wild boar sausages with damson ketchup. Just to start us off, which I thought was quite good. And we cooked the sausages and kept them warm in a flask. So, yeah, no, it was a good Sunday morning, that. It was a good start to the day, and then it absolutely whited out.
That sounds delicious.
Sunday mornings, you see. You're nowhere to be seen.
I am not.
Okay, so final one. Now, when you roll out like me, you'll see there's loads of excess pastry, okay? Don't throw it away. Excess pastry is really good for Cornish pasties, because once you've rolled it out once, it becomes a little bit tougher, and that's when it's perfect for holding in fillings. So if you're going to make anything sort of freestanding, like a pasty or something like that, really, really good. And on Boxing Day, when you've got loads of turkey and cranberry and stuffing and pigs in blankets, chop it all up, bit of cranberry sauce, whack it in some of these. It is the perfect picnic food if you're going to go out for a walk on Boxing Day. And we always like a good walk on Boxing Day. Up here in Keswick, a lot of people do Latrig on Boxing Day for some reason. Don't know why, but it seems to be the hill that everyone does. So I may well see you there. Okay, so let's get a knife and we will just trim around the edges. Now is the time to put these in the fridge while we get everything else ready, and don't forget all your trimmings ready for pasties. Right, lobster time. Now I've got 2 here because we're going to make extra, all right? So this lobster is a Canadian lobster. It's cooked. It was frozen. I bought it in the supermarket. In fact, no, you bought it in the supermarket for me, didn't you? How much was it? Do you remember?
£7.
£7. All right, and it'll go quite a way. You know, I will make 8 tarts for this, so that's not bad, is it? You know, about 70, 80 pence a portion of lobster. So you've got the tail here, you've got the head, you've got the claws. Good claw meat in there, good tail meat, okay? So we're just going to twist the tail off, okay? And then I'm going to take the claws off. I'll pop that to one side. Okay, so let's just get some of this little row there.
The lobster meat, you know, like how you can get it from the fish. In pots already kind of flavored.
Yeah, of course you can. You don't have to do this. It's just, you know, for me, the opportunity every year is those lobsters are in the freezer, and I just thought, you know what? I bet people wonder what to do with them.
Yeah.
So all I'm going to do is take the shell off the tail. There we go. I'm just going to cut that little bit away there. So we're going to get rid of that. And then, so I've got some lobster tail there, and then we've got our claws. So using a big heavy rolling pin, just crack the claws. Don't smash them to smithereens, because otherwise you're going to end up with bits of claw everywhere. You just really need to crack them enough to get in and get the meat out. See? Have you prepped a lobster before?
I've had an experience with a lobster before
Oh, yeah.
when I was in Venice.
I thought you were going to tell me about the experience with the lobster with me and John Fell then.
Oh well, there are two experiences. I just think I'm traumatised by lobster for life.
Oh yeah, why?
Well, I had your experience in the kitchen in town.
Yeah.
Putting lobsters on my shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was served one in Venice, but it was whole. It was cooked, and it was beautiful. It was huge.
Did you just not know what to do
I
with it?
didn't know how to cook it, but neither did the people at the restaurant.
Oh.
And it was a beautiful restaurant, but even they looked at it as if to say, well, but now I've seen this,
Right.
I can go back and prep it.
Yeah. There's not too much to worry about. Keep it simple. And what I would say is all the shells and everything like that. I mean, we're just going to get this little bit of crab meat out, lobster meat out here. But all the rest of it, I mean, I'll totally be making. I'll be making a lobster bisque. You can make lobster oil for dressings over pasta. There's all sorts you can do with it. Okay. So let's just take our lobster meat and we're just going to cut it up into little pieces. Not too small, because you want to taste lobster. You want to see that there's lobster in there, okay? So we're just going to cut it up into little pieces. And we're going to pop that in. This is going to be our filling.
I think people are going to see this and see that it's actually not as scary.
No, it's not as scary. I mean, it's not that scary, okay? It's really not. But again, you don't have to use lobster. You could use crab. You could use salmon. You can use prawns. It's up to you. You know, so I'm going to add a little bit of red chili. Now let's just grab a knife. Okay, not too much chili, okay, because you don't want to blow the flavour of the lobster away. All right, so I'm just going to go half a chili. Chili and lobster and lemon and things like that work really well. Okay. So just chop and de-seed, remove the seeds. All right, in it goes. Then I've got some fresh spring onions. Now, I want to use the tops of the spring onions for our dressing. Okay, so I'm going to get a couple of spring onions. Just peel the outer skin off because it's a little bit dry.
Just going back to the chili, Pete.
Yeah.
Like any alternatives you can use if you didn't necessarily want to cut a fresh chili.
You could use a little bit of cayenne pepper if you like. You often find that with shellfish. You could drizzle it, if you've got a bit of chili oil, just drizzle it over. You know, or if you don't want the chili, that's absolutely fine. If you're like my mother, who doesn't eat any spice at all, don't put it in, it's okay. So nice and thin. Really, really thin white part of the spring onion or the scallion or the green onion, depending on where you're from. Lots of names for it.
You're getting to know all the lingo.
I am, because when I went and cooked in San Francisco a couple of years ago, and I got absolutely ribbed for calling them spring onions. I was like, I'm pretty sure we invented them first. Anyway, in with the onions, all right? So that'll give us a nice savoury flavour. So I've got some parsley here, flat leaf parsley. I have a bit of a problem with curly parsley. Do not like it. And then I've got a little bit of tarragon, okay? Tarragon's got that kind of slight aniseed flavour, I love it. It's really, really nice. Just going to use a little bit because we're going to use some in the dressing as well. So bundle it all together and then just push your knife through, okay? So it's a rolling action like that. So it's pushed down and forward and then bring it back and down and forward.
Do you always use fresh herbs rather than dried?
There are very few dried herbs I like, very few. Mint I quite like, that works well. And tarragon actually works really well as a dried herb, but it is very strong when it's dried. So if you've got dried in the cupboard, you only want a pinch in this, otherwise you're not going to taste your lobster. Okay, so maybe a tablespoon or so of that. I'm just going to put that to one side.
You can smell it.
It's lovely. I love tarragon. And then we'll give that a little mix together. All right, and then let's season it up. So a little bit of sea salt and a little bit of pepper. Not too much because we've got the chili in there. Right, and then I've got a lemon. I'm going to add some lemon zest in here for fragrance. Because we want this light and fragrant. You know, you're about to eat roast turkey or whatever you're going to eat with everything. So you want something sort of fairly light, delicate, but flavoursome, okay? So let's get our pastry cases. These are rested in the fridge, and then we're just going to divide the lobster and herbs and everything between.
It does go quite a long way, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it goes.
Sometimes you can look at it, oh crikey, I haven't got a lot there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a steak. You're not going to get a lump of meat with it. But that's all you need, in my opinion. Or you could go, you know, if you've got a lot of people coming, you could go 50-50, a bit of smoked salmon in there, or, you know, a little bit of fresh salmon in there. You could put crab and lobster. You could do crayfish if you like. You know, it doesn't have to be all lobster. Okay, so they are ready to go. Now, let's make our filling. So, we're going to make an egg mixture to go in here. But I want it to be really luxurious, okay? So we're just going to use the egg yolks on this one. So if I got 3 egg yolks here already, here's the third. So we just separate our egg. All right, these are free-range eggs. And these are large, okay? And
There's
then
some egg white left over if you want to make more lemon meringue.
yeah, I think you're liking the lemon meringue pie, aren't you?
Yeah. Very nice.
And then in with single cream, okay? Double cream is too rich and heavy for this. All right, so you single cream and then just whisk it up. So 3 large egg yolks to 200 mils of single cream.
Could you make this as like one big tart and
Of course you could, yeah. What I would do though is add an extra couple of egg yolks to it because you want it cut it and you want it to hold its shape. Whereas with this, you've got a pastry case around it. If it was slightly soft and gooey, that's okay because it's all encased. Whereas if you were going to do tart slices, you want it a bit firmer, you want it to hold. So I would go with an extra, at least 1 extra egg yolk, if not 2. Okay, so season up our eggs a little bit. And there we go. Give that a really good mix. I mean, you can see it. I mean, it almost looks like custard. It's got that nice richness to it, okay? And then we are just going to pour in, divide the mixture. So pour a bit in. Pour a bit in. And then pour another bit in. And then just give it a second. Let it find all the gaps. And then pour in again. All right? Nothing worse than pouring it all in. You get to the last one, you're like, oh, I haven't got enough mix. We've all been there. There we go.
It creates the perfect size for a starter, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's perfect. And the great thing about this is you could bake these and freeze them in the tin, the whole lot, and then just take them out the night before. You could warm them up and then just pop them out with the loose bottoms. So these are going to go in. I'm actually going to turn the oven down to 170 degrees. And bake these for about 20-25 minutes. Okay, so while they're baking, let's just recap what we have done today. So we have made the most beautiful. Emily's fallen in love with these drinks. A lemon meringue martini. I know, it sounds good, doesn't it? And then we've made a mulled, non-alcoholic mulled fruit punch. And then we have done walnuts roasted in rosemary, thyme, truffle oil and parmesan. A little bit of sea salt. The perfect light little nibble, but full of flavour. And then we've made our lobster tart. Right, so we need to make a really lovely dressing. So when you've got the little lobster tart, you put it on the plate, and then some salad leaves just dressed in an incredible dressing that really does bring everything together. So, spring onion tops. So we put the white of the onion into the lobster tarts. Now the green is milder, more like chives. If you've got chives growing in the windowsill or in the garden, good for you, use those, all right? But I haven't, so I'm going to use the spring onion tops for a nice sort of savoury kind of oniony flavour. And we're just going to make a dressing, okay? So a little bit of Dijon mustard, probably half a teaspoon, because this is not a mustard dressing, all right? It's just adding to the flavour of everything. I'm also going to add the juice of half a lemon.
Just going back to the mustard, would you just recommend using that one that you've used?
Dijon's smoother, milder, more delicious. English mustard is like flipping rocket fuel. It doesn't matter how much you use, it's so hot. And whole grain mustard for me is delicious, but not the right one for this. I want this mustard to just dissolve into the dressing and become a lovely dressing, not a mustard dressing. If I was using whole grain mustard, it becomes more of a mustard dressing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So lemon juice. So we've got half a teaspoon of Dijon in there. We've got some spring onion tops, the green bits, and half a lemon. Now in with some white wine vinegar or champagne vinegar, if you like.
Making it posh.
Yeah. So in with our vinegar there. Now I'm going to add a little bit of tarragon, because tarragon really works with mustard. All right. It's quite a traditional combination of flavours. It works with the lobster. It just works. Now, if you've got, I'm going to put about a teaspoon of fresh in there. If you're working with dried tarragon, you want about half, maybe a quarter. Depends how much you like it. Okay, because it is really strong when it's dried. Now, in with some olive oil. I'm using extra virgin olive oil. You can use a milder oil if you prefer, or a rapeseed oil. It's up to you. So, little glug in there. When you're making dressings, you usually go for a third acid, so lemon juice or vinegar, 2/3 oil, and then I just put a splash of water in just to let it down so it's not too rich. So, but that's a preference. There we go. So, let's just grab a touch of water and we'll season this up. So, got some salt in there, a little bit of pepper, and then splash of water. It just cleans it up, it lightens it up. Okay, so there we go. Right, let's have a little taste of this. It's important that you taste your dressing. Do you make your own dressings?
No, I should, and I don't. But you can taste the difference. It's so much more fresh when you've made your own.
Yeah, a little bit of salt. There we go, that's a clean spoon.
So easy.
Have a little taste of that. So you imagine what we're going to be having it with. We're going to be having it with a rich, custardy, lobstery tart, buttery pastry. We want a little bit of acidity, we want a little bit of sharpness.
It'll cut through, won't it?
Yeah. So that is our dressing. Now it's important, do not dress your salad leaves until you are about to put it on the plate. Because the minute this dressing hits your leaves, it will start to wilt it a little bit, all right? So just as it's about to go on the table, okay? Right, that's it. All we're doing now is waiting for our lobster tarts to come out of the oven and we're ready to go. The tarts have been in the oven now for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes maybe. And look, you can see there, let me swap that out. There we go.
Oh.
And just pop those up there. Right, so let's get our dressing. So I've got a few salad leaves here, just some little pea shoots, some radish tops, that sort of thing. We'll give our dressing a nice little mix. And remember what I said before. You do not dress this salad until the very last minute, okay? So a little stir, and then I'm just going to go round the bowl, not on the salad leaf. All right? There we go. Okay, so let's lift one of these out.
Drum roll.
Which one would you like me to lift out, Emily?
Oh.
This one.
Yeah,
The one nearest. There we go. That's it. Look at that. The non-stick is so good that it just lifts straight out. So if I pop that onto there, there we go. And now, and only now, do we mix the salad leaf. So I put the dressing on the edge of the bowl. Don't just dump it on top, because if you do, it just becomes sodden with dressing, okay? And then just sit it delicately on the top there. That's it.
Oh.
That is all it needs. And then take some of your dressing, just skim it from the top. And that's it. And that is my lobster tart with a fresh champagne vinegar dressing. Now, if you want any of the recipes from today's episode or any of the other recipes we're going to be doing looking forward to Christmas or looking back over the past 12 months, please go to masterclass.co or scan the QR code and you will go straight to their website and you'll find them all there. But thank you very much to our sponsors, Masterclass. With their help, that helps us make this show every week for you. Looking forward to next week's episode. We're going to be doing, what are we doing, Emily? We're doing miso glazed root vegetables. We're doing beautiful stuffing, pigs in blankets with pickled grapes and honey, a killer gravy, cranberry sauce. We're going to show you everything for the main course.